Hello there, Romans here and welcome to my next music review. Today it's going to be Shinedown, Attention, Attention.
Music review. Music review.
Shinedown is a group that I've discovered something like 10 years ago. So it was in 2008 when they released The Sound of Madness record. And it seems like that was the record that really transformed them into rock superstars. And I think that they've been just improving that status with every following record. Shinedown are arguably one of the most successful rock groups as of today. I would even rank them maybe in like top 5 biggest rock groups as of today. Really, when it comes to the record sales, when it comes to the reputation, when it comes to the status. And also Shinedown are, in my opinion, a group that helped to form and to create what is called a mainstream rock. If you watch my other reviews, you know that I'm not a big fan of mainstream rock. So Shinedown pretty much helped to define this genre, for better or worse. I personally like their music. It was 3 years ago when I went through their whole discography. Their first album, Leave a Whisper, was a record where they pretty much sounded like every other group at that time, but they were still kind of like searching for the sound. Then Us and Them was already a pretty traditional Shinedown record, and then of course Sound of Madness was a record that was the record for them. I really liked Emerald, and I think The Threat to Survival was also a pretty cool album. This is when I've kind of like realized what mainstream rock is about. Like Threat to Survival, I've talked about it in my previous reviews, that, you know, you've got like these short tracks that are like 3 minutes long, you've got no guitar solo, so this is essentially pop music. The only difference between pop and mainstream rock is that mainstream rock is louder and it has some actual instruments. The new album Attention, Attention is coming out 4th of May, so tomorrow. And as of now I've heard the first 2 singles that made me very hungry and very excited for this record. I've heard it 6 times as of now, so let's dive right into the review of the record. It's important to say that this record is a concept record, the first one for Shinedown. And Brent Smith, the singer, said that this is a concept that follows a person, one person who's very negative, who has a lot of negative thoughts and maybe a lot of negative personality traits, and he goes through a certain process of change. And towards the end of the record he is completely changed, he is reborn, and therefore even the record gets slightly more optimistic in the last couple of tracks. So the album opens up with an intro called The Entrance, which really gives you this feeling that a person enters a room and the whole story begins. The second track and the first real track and also the first single, Devil, is a great song. It's a song that is in a way a very traditional Shinedown song, pretty much like Cut the Cord from the previous record. But the thing that makes it stand apart are those gospel vocals. Now, from a production point of view, that's really great. Kind of an interesting thing about the whole record is that Shinedown is, in its core, a rock group. Maybe post-grunge, modern rock, whatever, but it is a rock group. Yet, the production on a record, and that's not really just a feature of this record, I would say that was happening pretty much since The Sound of Madness, they have a very pop production. And sometimes it even seems like Shinedown are very careful about how heavy they are on the record. The best example is the 3rd track, Black Soul, where the chorus is really very heavy. He's pretty much screaming, but then it progresses into some melody. So this is kind of a thing that you notice throughout the whole record, that they never really let the song be too heavy. Also, an interesting thing about Black Soul, when I heard it, sort of like a keyboard main theme, it reminded me immediately of the song Space from a German industrial/electronic modern rock group called Alive Divided. That main theme doesn't really make any sense within the musical context of the song. Black Soul is generally a pretty rocking, heavy song, but that main theme just, you know, it seems like it's out of place really in this song. Just check that song, Space from Alive Divided. This is how I think a theme like that should be developed and created into a song rather than what we hear here. Apart from that, it's a great song, and it's actually the only song on a record that has a guitar solo. The title track, Attention, Attention, is a track that dwells slightly more into a pop rock territory, yet it's got a very serious tone. There's a lot of tension, a lot of suspense in the verses. And then the chorus comes and destroys the whole mood and atmosphere for the sake of being commercial and accessible and catchy. Now, this is strictly from a songwriting point of view. As I'm a songwriter, I write a lot of music, and I might be too subjective here, but I don't really like this when a song creates certain image and then it destroys it. I think one of the best examples is, for me, and now I'm pretty sure that a lot of people will disagree with me, is the song See You on the Other Side from Ozzy Osbourne. It's got a beautiful main theme, verses are beautiful, and then the chorus is just the worst. It sounds like from other song. And it's the same with this song. I would probably put a different chorus there. And also the chorus has a very strong heard it before kind of feeling. Kill Your Conscience is a electro-pop song that's very reminiscent of Imagine Dragons. And when I was listening to this song, I realized an interesting thing about Shinedown. It's very obvious here that you've got like a verse, chorus, verse, chorus. And what they do, and this is from a point of view of arrangements, they pretty much play every part differently. Therefore, the repetition that this record is very, very heavily based on is not that obvious, because they try to sonically make the parts different, even though they're musically the same. It's kind of an interesting thing, and personally, I think it works. It makes the song more interesting. The next track, Pyro, is a little heavier, it's got pretty big arrangements, and the following track, Monsters, especially the beginning, reminds me a lot of that silent part in the song Devil. When the second chorus ends, you've got that sort of an ambient part, and that's exactly like the beginning of the song Monsters. This is also a pop rock song made in a sort of a grunge way, that you have more silent verses and louder chorus. But personally, I couldn't care less about these two tracks, as after having heard them for the 6th times, I can't really remember their melodies. Darkside, on the other hand, is a great song where you've got, again, heavier song with a little bit of pop thrown in. Creatures is a song that's based on acoustic guitars. Yet again, it's more of a pop rock song with some string arrangements. And the following track, Evolve, really feels like you're listening to a concept record, because it's a heavier track, but it's also very theatrical. And again, you've got this chorus that's heavy, but it keeps being melodic. Next two songs, Get Up and Similar, are pretty much the same songs. They are in the style of Shinedown's ballads, if I can call them that way, like I Dare You or Second Chance, especially the song Get Up. And this is again the song that reminds me a lot of Imagine Dragons. It's based on a piano, which is after some time a new sound on a record. The 13th track, The Human Radio, is the second single. Now this is, for me personally, the best track on the album. It's really great. I love that bass riff at the beginning that has a very strong Rage Against the Machine kind of feeling. This is a great rock tune, and I think it sounds very fresh. The album ends up in a pretty theatrical way with the song Brilliant, that is probably the most positive song on the record, and it seems like a combination of punk pop. When it comes to the mainstream rock, I've reviewed a couple of records that came out this year. Pop Evil's self-titled record was horrible. Breaking Benjamin was average at best. The record I reviewed last week, Godsmack's When Legends Rise, was a record where my excitement took the best of me, and I gave it 8 points out of 10, when right now I would probably give it 7 points. But nevertheless, it was a pretty solid record. I think Shinedown's Attention is the best of those mainstream rock records I've heard in a very long time. Now, it's important to say that this record, in terms of sounds, songs, style, is not really that different from their previous 3 records. It's pretty much the same record as they've released before. But this is what Shinedown are famous for. They are probably the best and probably the most successful mainstream rock group, and rightfully so, really. I listen to a lot of music, so for me personally, this is a record that I would listen to like maybe 6, 7, 8 times, and then I would get a feeling that this record pretty much gave me everything it could have given me. So I think that if you like Shinedown, if you are a Shinedown's fan, there is no way you're gonna dislike the new record. In fact, I think you're gonna love it. If you like mainstream rock, if you like modern rock, if you like rock that's slightly more accessible. I think you will enjoy this record a lot. If you are more into progressive rock, or if you listen to various music, I would still encourage you to check Shinedown out, as they are really very good at what they're doing. I would like to see Shinedown maybe take a few risks, maybe try something more artistic. But this is what they do, this is what they're appreciated for, so I guess why change something if it's not broken? So I decided to give this record 7 points out of 10. If you've heard the record already, or you haven't, if you agreed with me or if you didn't, you can leave a comment in the comment section below. You can also tell me which record do you think is the best from Shinedown. For me personally, it's Emerald, if I haven't mentioned that already. You can also write me how well do you think the new record compares to their previous stuff. If you liked the video, don't forget to
like, to share, to subscribe.
You can follow me on Facebook or on Instagram. You can find the links to both in the description below. Also, don't forget to check out my first single out of my record that came out 2 weeks ago. It's a rock music without guitars. Instead, you've got drums, bass, saxophone and keyboards. So if you want to check out something pretty unique, you can check out that single and you'll find all the links for the record. And, well, thanks a lot for watching. And if there are any bloopers at the end, then here they are. Yeah.
Action.
Hello there.
Hello.
Ron. Hello
Romance
there.
here. Welcome to another episode. Today is going to
Okay.
be Shinedown.
Hello there.
Music review.
Seriously,
Music
honey?
review.
And you wonder why these videos are always more than 20 minutes long.
And action.
Hello there.
Okay.
Can we finally start?
Yes.
It's